She looked at me with desperate eyes and said, "You're the only one I trust." Those words slammed into me like a fist, standing there in the dim hallway of my professor's house. I was just a 21-year-old college kid, barely holding it together in his advanced psych class, and now this? His wife, Elena, this stunning woman in her mid-30s with piercing green eyes and a smile that could unravel anyone, was gripping my arm like her whole world was about to collapse. We'd only crossed paths a handful of times, casual dinners after I started tutoring their kid, but there was always this vibe with her, like she was a storm I knew I shouldn't chase. Yet here she was, whispering about a secret that could break everything. "Don't tell him what I did," she begged, her voice cracking like thin ice. "Please, Alex. If he finds out, it'll destroy us all." My heart was pounding so hard I could barely think. How the hell did I end up here? Was it those late-night talks when Professor Harlan was holed up in his office? Or the way she'd linger when saying goodbye, her hand brushing mine just a second too long? All I knew was, in that moment, I felt this sick mix of fear and something darker, excitement, maybe? The kind that makes you question who you are deep down. I nodded, like an idiot, promising to keep quiet without even knowing what I was hiding. But as she let go, tears streaking her makeup, it hit me, this wasn't just some marriage drama. This was dangerous. And I was already too deep. Let me backtrack, because none of this makes sense without the full picture. My name's Alex, just your average junior at State University, majoring in psychology because I thought maybe figuring out other people would help me figure out myself. I'm not some genius, more like the guy in the back of the lecture hall, doodling in my notebook and praying for AB, Professor Harlan, everyone calls him Dr. H, is a campus legend. Tall, silver-haired, with this gravelly voice that makes you sit up straight. His lectures on moral dilemmas and human behavior. Packed every semester, standing room only. People hang on his every word, and I was no different, even if I wasn't his star student. Last fall, though, he pulled me aside after class. "Alex," he said, peering over his glasses, "you've got potential, but you're coasting. How about some extra credit? My son, Jamie, needs a math tutor. He's struggling." I didn't even think twice. I needed the cash, and getting on Dr. H's good side. That could only help my shaky GPA. That's how I ended up at their house, this old Victorian on the edge of town with creaky floors and bookshelves stuffed with Freud, Jung, and dog-eared philosophy texts. Jamie was 14, a good kid, awkward in that way that reminded me of myself at that age, gangly, unsure, trying to act cooler than he felt. We'd sit at the kitchen table, grinding through algebra, and that's where I really started noticing Elena. She wasn't what you'd expect from a professor's wife, no frumpy cardigans or forced small talk. She was, alive, vibrant, with long dark hair that fell in waves and this quiet intensity that made you feel like she was really seeing you. She'd bring us snacks, linger to ask about my classes, throw out questions that hit deeper than I expected. "What do you really think about Harlan's theories on guilt?" she'd ask, leaning against the counter, her eyes locked on mine like she actually cared. I'm not gonna lie, it was flattering. I mean, I'm no catch. Skinny, messy hair, always in the same rotation of hoodies. But she made me feel important, like my thoughts mattered. Dr. H was usually buried in his study, grading papers or writing his next big article, so it was mostly just me, Jamie, and her. Those kitchen chats started stretching longer. One night, after Jamie crashed early, she poured me a glass of wine. I was underage, but I didn't say no, felt too awkward. We sat at the table, and she opened up. "Harlan's so wrapped up in his work," she said, swirling her glass, staring into it like it held answers. "Sometimes I feel invisible." Her voice was soft, sad, and it hit me somewhere deep. I mumbled something dumb like, "He's lucky to have you," and she laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. That's when I felt it, a spark, forbidden as hell. She was married, older, my professor's wife. Completely off limits. But the way she looked at me, like I was the only one who got her. It stirred something I couldn't shake. I started looking forward to those tutoring sessions way more than I should have. Dr. H noticed, too. "You're good with Jamie," he'd say, clapping my shoulder as I left. "And Elena seems to like you. That's rare." His tone was friendly, but there was this edge, like he was keeping an eye on me. Things shifted around mid-semester. Elena started texting me, not about tutoring, but random stuff. "Saw this article on dream analysis, thought of you." Or, "Late at night, Harlan's out again. Jamie's asleep. Come over if you're bored." I told myself it was nothing, just friendly chats, but I went anyway. Once, twice, sitting on their porch under the stars, talking about life. She'd vent about her marriage, how she married Harlan young, felt trapped in his academic shadow, missed the freedom of her 20s. I opened up too, stuff I never told anyone, my parents' messy divorce, the guilt I carried for not being there for my mom when she fell apart. It felt real, like we were peeling back layers. But there was always this undercurrent, a tension that made my pulse race. One night, as I was leaving, she hugged me, a second too long, her breath warm against my ear. "You're special, Alex," she whispered. I pulled away, guilt clawing at me, but I couldn't stop thinking about her. I'd lie awake in my dorm, replaying that moment, hating myself for the thrill it gave me. Then came the faculty party at their house. Dr. H invited me, tutor extraordinaire, he called me, half joking. It was catered, fancy, with wine flowing and professors debating ethics over cheese platters. I felt out of place, the youngest guy there, but Elena made it bearable. She pulled me aside in the kitchen, away from the crowd. "I'm glad you're here," she said, her hand brushing mine, sending a jolt through me. We talked, laughed, and for a moment, it felt like we were the only ones in the room. The party dragged on, Dr. H got drunk, schmoozing with colleagues, and Elena asked me to help clean up after most guests left. That's when things cracked open. We were stacking plates in the kitchen when she dropped one, shattering it on the tile. "Shit," she muttered, hands shaking. I knelt to help, and she grabbed my wrist, her grip tight. "Alex, I need to tell you something. But not here." Her eyes darted to the door, like she was scared someone might hear. I nodded, confused, and followed her to the hallway. That's when she dropped the words that changed everything. The real bomb hit that night, after the last guest stumbled out. Elena led me to Dr. H's study, a sacred space, all diplomas and leather-bound books. He was passed out upstairs, snoring off the wine, but being in there felt like breaking some unspoken rule. She locked the door, her face pale under the desk lamp's glow. "Alex, promise you won't judge," she said, voice barely a whisper. I sat on the edge of the desk, heart thumping, and nodded. I figured maybe an affair, some petty drama, stupid, naive assumptions. She paced, twisting her wedding ring like it was choking her. "It happened last year. Harlan was at a conference, Jamie at summer camp. I was alone, feeling lost. I met someone online. Just chatting at first, nothing serious. My stomach twisted. An affair? With who? She kept going, words spilling faster. His name was Mark. Charming, said all the right things. We met up a few times, coffee, then dinner. One night, things got physical. She stopped, searching my face like she thought I'd run. I didn't. Part of me was jealous, this ugly knot in my chest, but more than that, I felt this urge to protect her. It wasn't just that, she said, tears welling. Mark wasn't who he seemed. He was married too, but worse, he was mixed up with dangerous people. Loan sharks, maybe. He owed them big. When I tried to end it, he blackmailed me. Said he'd tell Harlan, send photos. Photos? My mind reeled. What did you do? I whispered, leaning closer. She sank into the chair, face in her hands. I panicked. I took money from Harlan's research fund, 10 grand, just to pay Mark off. Thought I could replace it before anyone noticed. Embezzlement? From the university? Dr. H's grants were untouchable, if that got out, his career was over. But Mark didn't stop, she said, voice breaking. He kept asking for more, kept threatening. One night, he showed up here, drunk, banging on the door, demanding cash. We argued in the garage. He grabbed me, Alex. I pushed him, hard. He fell, hit his head on the concrete. There was blood, so much blood. I froze, the room tilting. Is he? She nodded, sobbing quietly. Dead. I checked his pulse, nothing. I dragged him to his car, drove it to the woods outside town, staged it like an accident. Wiped everything clean. Police called it a hit and run, some drunk driver. No one suspects. But Harlan, if he finds out about the affair, the money, the body, it'll destroy him. He's already under pressure with tenure review. And Jamie, God, what would this do to Jamie? The weight of it crushed me. Manslaughter, theft, a cover-up. And she was trusting me with it. Why me? I asked, my throat dry. Why not a lawyer? She reached out, her hand on mine, warm and trembling. Because you see me, Alex. Not just Harlan's wife, but me. I feel safe with you. Her touch sent sparks through me, guilt tangled with desire. I pulled back, mind racing. Tell Dr. H. Go to the cops. Or keep quiet, protect her. I was just a student, she was my professor's wife. One wrong move, and my life could implode, expulsion, maybe worse if they tied me to this as an accessory. I left that night in a fog, promising to keep her secret. Sleep was impossible. I tossed in my dorm, her words looping in my head, shame creeping in. What kind of person gets pulled into this? The next day, Dr. H's class was hell. He lectured on ethical dilemmas. When does loyalty become complicity? And I swear his eyes burned into me. Paranoia. Maybe. Then Elena texted, "Thank you for last night. I feel lighter." Lighter? I was drowning. The next week was torture, the suspense building like a slow poison. I cancelled a tutoring session, blaming midterms, but Elena kept reaching out. Subtle texts at first, "You okay?" Then more urgent. "Need to talk. Please come over." I caved, showing up one evening when Dr. H was at a faculty meeting. Jamie was at a friend's, so it was just us. She looked wrecked, bags under her eyes, hair messy, but still beautiful, like a painting you couldn't look away from. "I can't stop thinking about it," she said, pouring us coffee. We sat in the living room, the silence heavy. What if someone saw? Mark's phone, I smashed it, but what if the cops trace calls? Her voice was shaky, her fear infectious. I tried to calm her, but my own doubts were screaming. "Elena, this is big. You need real help." She shook her head, fierce. "No. Just you. Promise me again." I did, but inside, I was splitting apart. Part of me wanted to run, tell someone, get out. But another part, the lonely, stupid part, craved the connection. We talked for hours, her opening up more, Harlan's distance, how it pushed her to Mark, how guilt ate at her every day. I spilled too, feeling like a fraud in college, the pressure to prove I wasn't a failure. It bonded us, this raw vulnerability. But every touch, every glance that lingered too long, cranked up the tension. Was this becoming something more? Forbidden, sure, but it felt real. Things escalated fast. Dr. H cornered me after class one day. "Alex, you've been distant. Tutoring okay?" His tone was sharp, eyes like knives. I mumbled something about being busy, but he pressed. "Elena said you seemed off." If there's something going on, my heart stopped. Did he know? I denied everything, but paranoia took root. That night, Elena called, voice frantic. Harlan asked about missing grant money. "An audit's coming. Alex, what do I do?" I rushed over, finding her in tears. We huddled in the study, whispering like fugitives, brainstorming lies, fake receipts, blame a glitch. As we talked, the door creaked. My stomach dropped, "Dr. H?" "No, just the wind." But the fear stayed, wrapping us tighter. The moral dilemma was suffocating. Keeping her secret made me complicit, but betraying her? I couldn't imagine it. I started digging online, anonymously, researching self-defense laws, embezzlement penalties. It was grim. Manslaughter could mean years in prison. And me? If I didn't report it, I could be an accessory. Shame hit me every morning. I'd stare in the mirror, hating the guy looking back, wondering how I'd fallen so far. But with Elena, I felt alive, needed. Our meetings got riskier, late nights, her hand brushing my knee, our talks turning intimate. "You make me feel seen," she'd say, her voice soft. I fought the attraction, but it was there, burning. Weeks blurred into a haze of stress. I aced Dr. H's midterm, guilt-fueled studying, but inside, I was crumbling. Elena's texts were constant, "Miss you." Harlan's asking questions. One night, she opened up more, sobbing. The affair wasn't just physical. Mark manipulated me, threatened me. I didn't mean to kill him, it was an accident. I held her, crossing every line, her warmth against me intoxicating and wrong. "We can't," I whispered, but didn't let go. The scent of her hair, the way she clung to me, it was too much. Then came the first real threat. A letter arrived at their house, anonymous, scrawled, "I know about Mark. Pay up or Harlan finds out." Blackmail? Elena showed me, hands shaking. "Someone knows." We guessed it was one of Mark's associates, maybe a loan shark buddy. The stakes shot up. I pushed for the police, but she shut it down. "They'll arrest me." Instead, she wanted to meet the sender in a park at night, her plan, me along like a fool. It was a setup, no one showed, but we heard footsteps, felt watched. We ran to the car, hearts pounding. She kissed me, impulsive, desperate. "Thank you," she breathed. I kissed back, guilt exploding. What was I doing? Dr. H started noticing. In office hours, he grilled me. "You and Elena seem close. Anything I should know?" I lied, sweat dripping, but his stare said he wasn't buying it. That night, Elena dropped another bomb: "Harlan's not innocent. He's had affairs too." But this, it'd break him. Everyone was morally gray, and I was stuck in the middle, torn between loyalty to Dr. H, my mentor, and Elena, who'd bared her soul. The audit loomed, tension spiking. Elena forged documents, me helping research how, stupid, reckless. Our bond deepened through late-night calls, her whispering fears, me sharing mine. One stormy night, with Dr. H away and Jamie asleep, she invited me over. "I can't do this alone." We sat by the fire, rain hammering the windows. She leaned in, our foreheads touching. "Alex, I think I'm falling for you." My breath caught. "Elena, we can't. It's wrong." But the pull was electric. We kissed, slow, desperate, full of longing and shame. It wasn't just physical, it was two broken people clinging to something real. After, reality hit hard. "This complicates everything," I said, pacing. She nodded, tears streaming. "But you're the only one who gets me." We talked till dawn, her guilt over Mark, my fear of consequences. Expulsion, scandal, prison, everything loomed. But I couldn't walk away. Her secret bound us, a twisted trust. Clues piled up, tension choking. Dr. H mentioned a detective asking about Mark, a cold case heating up. Odd, since he was just some guy Elena knew from yoga. Yoga? A lie. Elena panicked, "They're on to me." We dug deeper, me snooping online, her checking old emails. We found Mark's associate, Vic, a thug likely behind the blackmail. We confronted him in a dingy bar, her pleading, me backing her up. "Leave her alone," I growled, adrenaline surging. He laughed, but backed off after she paid a small sum. A win? Barely. My internal conflict was relentless. Nightmares of blood, Elena's tears, Dr. H's disappointment haunted me. Shame gnawed, betraying a mentor, falling for his wife. But her vulnerability pulled me in. "You're my anchor," she'd say. I changed, from a naive kid to someone carrying real weight, questioning everything. Was silence right if it protected her? Or was I just selfish, wanting her? Finals week brought the climax. Dr. H invited me for dinner, to celebrate your progress. It was tense, Elena on edge, me sweating. Over steak, he dropped it, "Alex, I value honesty. Anything between you and Elena?" We denied, but his eyes narrowed. Later, alone with her, she confessed, He knows about the money. Panic. We planned to replace funds, but then I found an email on her phone, snooping, I know, from Vic, more cash or I tell all, including the kids' involvement. Jamie? Elena broke down. Mark threatened Jamie too. That's why I pushed him. Maternal instinct, another layer. My heart ached. We decided to end it, meet Vic, record him, go to the cops anonymously. The meeting was in an abandoned lot, night falling. Vic smirked, demanding double. Elena argued, me recording secretly. He lunged, grabbing her. I jumped in, fists flying. Chaos, yells, punches. Vic fled, dropping his phone. Evidence. We escaped, her hugging me. You saved me. Sirens wailed, false alarm, but fear peaked. Back home, Dr. H was waiting, furious. Where were you? Elena lied, but he pressed. I know about Mark. The affair. How? She confessed, affair, money, no death. He raged, hurt. I admitted helping with advice. He stormed out. Alone, we faced truth. We tell him everything, I said, changed by guilt. She agreed. We turned Vic's phone to the police, anonymously. Mark's case cracked, ruled self-defense. Next day, we sat Dr. H down. Elena spilled it all, affair, accident, cover-up. He was shattered but listened. Why hide? Hurt, but he understood her fear. Me? You should have told me, he said, no rage. Therapy, restitution followed. Elena and I ended the spark, too toxic. But respect lingered. That secret reshaped me, taught guilt's weight, loyalty's cost. I graduated, scarred but wiser. What would you do with a dangerous truth? Comment, keep it or confess. Share if you've been torn between right and wrong.